Ever wished you could live somewhere like this in the winter, without the cold, snow and ever-increasing fuel bills? Well, dreams can come true. This is Providenciales in the Turks and Caicos Islands in the British West Indies, and this is the Grace Bay Beach. I'm building a house on these islands just 1 mile over that hill, and I'm going to show you the whole process. I'm going to show you how you buy some land, how you take your designs to an architect, get them passed by planning, all the stages from clearing the land, building the foundations and building your house. However, I've never done this before, so I'm hoping you'll learn by my mistakes. And I hope you'll join me in building in paradise. During the building process, I'll be living with my sister Joy, her husband Steve and their 3 girls Sally, Katie and Ashley, as well as the 2 dogs and the 3 cats and the budgie. Other than somewhere to live, the next thing you're really going to need is a car. Now, my car's not very well at the moment, so I'm borrowing Sally's car. I bought my car over the internet for about $1,000. It's an old Land Rover, but it's not going, so it needs a few parts changing. Now, there are 2 things you need to know about an island car. One is, does it go? And the other is, does it stop? This car's about 15 years old, and it's got a little bit of wobble on the old steering wheel. It needs engine check, maintenance check, brake check, SRS, and so it's in pretty good condition. It gets you from A to B, that's all you need. Top of my list this morning is a visit to local architect John Williams, who has drawn up my designs and guided me through the whole planning and legal process.
As long as you got a piece of land, you can build a house. Yeah, even you can build a house on someone else's land with a lot of consent from the owner of the property.
And people could just basically come to you and say, look, I've got this land, I want to build a house, and you'll be able to look at the size of the land, say, okay, you can have this size house, because you know the planning regulations.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then you can sort all the design out.
Sure, yeah.
From my point of view, with my houses, we could, because it was an acre, we could have 3 kitchens, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can.
So we had 3 kitchens, so we could have 3 houses, but they could only be at a certain height, so they could only be 2 stories.
Yeah. For residential, you can only build 2 stories.
What kind of crazy ideas do you get people coming in with? I mean,
well, I've been in this business years, and I got people comes in with tissue paper. People comes in with magazines of the book. People comes in with, for instance, I got a thing here. This gentleman, he's a contractor. He was on a site. He take a piece of sheetrock and he designed this, and he sketched this out, and he said he wanted a bar. And time he leave,
You've changed that into proper plans and taken the plan.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Can you see this? This is.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, you took my plans, you've drawn them out, my ideas. We went through all the planning process. We've now got building regs, and tomorrow you've organised a digger to cut into my site.
Sure.
Thanks very much, John.
Yes, sir. And welcome back.
And I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
On my site, I'm building a 4-bedroom house flanked by 2 2-bedroom guest houses, all overlooking a courtyard swimming pool. However, I only have enough funds at the moment to build this guest house. I've gone for the colonial look with everything built on a raised terrace. The three properties will eventually be connected by a series of arches which will surround the courtyard pool. But it's this house that I will be concentrating on for now. I now have my building permit and my permission for clearing the land with heavy equipment. But I have noticed this bit. I have to display my building permit number on the site before I start work. A bit of stick should do it. Fortunately, Katie is an artist, so I've nicked her paints. And I'm gonna well, that should do. I mean, it's a sign, it's the number, it's on a stick. Stick it in the ground. I can't see anyone complaining. That'd be famous last words, of course. That evening, I pop into the Tiki Hut for dinner and entertainment from Sally and Bob. Now, Bob used to play with the rock band Love Affair, famous for Everlasting Love. And I'll be showing you his beautiful oceanfront home later in the series.
Never thought I'd feel this way again.
We're gonna mark this. Yeah, we're going to get it 12. We're going to get it 57 feet. Then we get it 19 and we enter.
Yeah, then we enter inside and let him do the line down his side.
Yeah.
So before we start, I've got my stick, we got the digger.
Clean it all away. Then if you look up, you'll see that there's a little bump like which is a hill. We'll begin to rip that so we can make a driveway here to drive in. Then we'll toot all of this out to the dump site. All right? But we're getting there.
So how far do we have to go down before we get bedrock here?
Well, we're just about bedrock now. But the thing about that is that we're gonna take a little bit of top off and skim it a little bit off the top, and we're gonna use the rubbish to come up the top, and the bedrock we can go down in the swamp areas, and we can fill it up, and then we'll try to level it off as much as we can. But we don't want to go too low here because this is where the development gonna be, and we want to keep the development at the highest point at all times.
So with a bit of luck from the balcony, I might be able to see the sea. So at the end of all that work, the land is now clear. It's been a long, hot day. It's been a strange day as well, because after a year's planning, it's all finally happened at last. However, I think I'm going to need some help. I'm building a house in the West Indies, and today I'm hoping to enlist my sister's father-in-law, John Greenwood, to help me. He has nearly completed building his own houses in Long Bay, which actually overlook my site, so with a bit of luck, he might be available for a new project close to home. So John, how long have you been on the island now?
Since '83, so that's about 26 years or so. In that order.
Oh, can't be bad, can't be bad. And when did you start building your own house?
About 8 years ago.
8 years ago, all right. Well, it's coming on, you're nearly there, nearly there. Well, I'm going to really need your help with my project because there's no way I can even get started on this without some advice.
Yeah. Okay.
And since you've been through it all yourself, I thought you'd be the best man to help. We've cut in through there.
Yeah.
And the survey's a bit wrong because it's a bit raised up this area here. But what I want to do is start marking out and build this guest house there.
Right. So.
Do you have to see the site? Or?
Well, I would love to see the site.
Sure.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And then we'll work out a little schedule of what we need in materials to get started. I'll get hold of Steve for the levels and so on.
Yeah.
And most likely start marking it out tomorrow.
As quick as that? That'd be brilliant if we can. My sister's husband Steve works at the Royal West Indies Resort. I've been invited down for a rum punch by the beach and the promise of some relaxing local music. And I forgot my hat. I'm sorry. Off you go, John.
All right. Well, we're going to go down to the till. Thank you, Bob.
Is there any particular reason why we're buying nails?
Yeah.
And not using screws?
Yes.
There is a particular reason.
There is a particular reason.
And I'm going to find out.
Yes, you are.
All right, okay, fair enough. Thanks very much. Sorry, how much is all that?
$252.
252. Do you take any credit cards at all?
Yes.
You do? What about that one? MasterCard?
Thank you.
Sorry, what's the problem?
Oh, I'm sorry. After we paid for 10-foot 2x4s, they've only got 12s. And so we've got
They've only got 12 what?
12 foots.
So we bought 10,
So we were going to buy 10 foots.
but we've only
But they don't have
10 foot, so,
So now we've got to change this for 12 foots and pay the extra.
Right, so okay, which one is that? That one there? Okay.
That's it, yeah.
So I've got to go back, get them, change the receipt,
Yeah.
and then bring it back again.
Yes.
Well, you might be curious to know how we knew we were in the right place yesterday when we bulldozed through on the land. Well, the reason is the land has marker points. Many years ago, they carved up the island into plots. And the plots were all marked and all numbered, and all the corners of the plots had a little marker point, which is in the ground here, and a number. And you use those points to do the survey and also, well, mark the land and sell the land. This is a survey of my plot, and I'm sitting at marker point 2160 at the northern end. And we're going to use these points to make sure that when we mark out the land today, we've got the house, or the bit of the house, in the right place. So, with the boundary line in the right place, I've also done a centre line across the site. The main house, 40 foot from the main road. I looked at it and it's far too close to the road.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I looked at the other houses and they're set right back here.
Yeah.
So I've decided to set everything 20 foot further back. 42.9. Okay. Yeah, I would have thought so, but I mean, that's what the plan says, but I'm shoving it all over back.
This is the Bossa Nova.
42 foot.
In this case, 5 pieces of number 5 steel. That's heavy steel, and we tied them together with a 16-inch overlap. So when you tie these together, every 10 inches. Okay, now if you're going to do columns, looking down in the plan view, you're going to do, let's say, 4 pieces of steel. Okay, and they will come out this way.
Stick it in the ground. So why are we doing this?
Well, we want to get a backhoe in as soon as we can to dig out our footing. This is just for the guest house.
Yeah.
2'6" wide, all the way around.
Well, if you're wondering why it's a bit quiet, it's because the digger's gone and the digger driver. Because after an hour of messing about, all he's managed to do is just scrape a bit of the topsoil off. He's got into a hump. We've said, look, you've got to do better than this. He says, I haven't done this machine before, so it may not be his fault because he's been sent out on a machine he's never operated before. But anyway, you're going to have to make a phone call, aren't you?
I sure am. I'm going to call Solly, see if he can arrange anything else, and if not, I'll look at my phone book and find another one.
So otherwise it's going to be a bit of an early tea, isn't
Yeah,
it?
like any minute now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Sorry, John.
Whilst John orders up another digger, I'm going to see Simon Paget at the Remax office, who sold me my land several years ago. Hi, Simon.
Hi.
Thanks for seeing me.
Yeah, good to see you, Nick.
That's good. That's great. Yeah. Cheers. Thanks.
Anyone can buy property in the Turks and Caicos Island. We're, as you know, one of 14 British territories still in existence. So if you come down and buy property, it's very, very safe. Unlike some other Caribbean jurisdictions, here you get freehold title and it's guaranteed by the Crown.
And do you get automatic planning permission or something?
If you buy any form of land here, it's generally zoned. There is a zoning map at the planning department that you can go and look at, and that's colour coded, and it tells you what each respective land parcel is zoned for. So if you're looking for a single family residence lot, then you know that it will be self-evident by looking at the map.
Now, if someone goes onto the internet like I've done,
sure,
gets onto your site,
yes,
sees a plot of land, and they say, "I'd really like to buy that." Can they do that? How would they do that? I mean, could they phone you, email you?
They generally, I'd probably say 80% of our inquiries come through the internet.
Even if you weren't going to build on it like me,
sure,
do you think land here is still a good investment?
Absolutely, more so now. I mean, over the last 18 months, since probably the Lehman collapse in the back end of 2008, since then we've probably seen land values drop between 30 and 40% in value. So absolutely, this is a fantastic time to buy.
There are lots of real estate companies on the internet, and they are all regulated via the Turks and Caicos Real Estate Association. And if you're visiting the islands, pick up this handy free magazine.
What happened was the guy had it off for a bit, and he had a problem digging. You understand? Mm-hmm. But if you know how to scratch the surface of the rock, because it's always hard at the top, you know, about 6 inches, sometimes it varies to a foot, you know. But once you get the top of it scratched, the what they call flint rock, once you get to the curry, you can pretty much move ahead pretty fast, you know. And that all depends on your experience, because it depends on how you scratch, that you can move faster and faster if you don't know how to scratch, you know. So,
as the new digger scratches away, I've taken the opportunity to take my sister to the Conch Shack to sample this famous local delicacy. This very tasty seafood is the former owner of these beautiful shells. Unfortunately, lunch is interrupted by a call from John. So John, we seem to have another digger.
Yes, we do.
That's the third digger.
As I said, don't count the first one. Didn't pay for it.
Okay, we don't count the first one, but the second digger, he was doing so well. What happened?
And it was very, very hard.
Hard one?
Yeah. Couldn't move it.
Couldn't move it.
If he'd have tried, he'd have been here all day. May have got through.
So it was better to say, go away, thanks very much, get a bigger digger in. One has to ask the question, why didn't we get the bigger digger in the first place? So, there we are. The trenches are dug and the foundations are ready to go in. But that's next week.
You're going to need a bigger sign than that, Nick.
Right, there was nothing in the rules that said how big it should be. It just said you need to put your number on it.
Right, okay. You need a bigger sign because if planning comes driving it down here, they're going to go right past that and you're going to see the sign. We're not going to see that.
All right. I'll make a bigger sign. I'll make a bigger sign. I'll make a bigger sign.
Black and white.
Next on Building in Paradise.
Crazy? When it's so cold, look how cold this is.
It's 85 degrees, Flo. I'd also like to point out that this isn't a very good job to try and do if you're the least bit vertically challenged. IKEA on Provo?
No, but that's the problem, yeah.
And it's not here. It's not here. With instructions in Spanish. And on the other side, instructions in Spanish, but there is one thing you've got to do, according to this diagram, is do the underwriter's knot. Another thing you're going to need if you're going to be living here is a bank account. Scotiabank is a very good bank. Well, I think it's an underwriter's knot. I don't know, but it's a knot. Well, yesterday turned out to be a right fiasco.
Really? You crazy?